Hey YouTube, Lad Ladderson here. Today I'm going to be putting in patch panels to my Model A cowl. This model comes pre-made. It's 6 inches high and it goes all the way out to the front of the cowl. It wraps underneath too. It's a pretty good piece. I'm pretty impressed by it. I'll do some modifying. This piece right here doesn't have this 90-degree band. It just kind of shears off at the bottom, so I'll have to work that in. But first thing we have to do is clean this up, mark where I'm going to cut, approximately 6 inches up, draw a line, and we'll cut off all this rotted, pinholed, pitted metal and get ready to weld this section in. So stick around and see what we're going to do. Thanks. You want to make sure you have some good eye pro. You're going to have ear pro. Put some gloves on too, and then let's get grinding. We're going to grind approximately 6, 7 to 8 inches above where the cut's going to be. Expose all that. Alright, the wire brush did a pretty decent job, but there's some pitting there, so I'm going to go ahead and switch to a flapper disc style. Alright, now what we're going to do now is match up the panel that we want to patch in and get an idea of where you want to draw the line at. Now you have to remember that it's going to take up the space that's at the bottom. So approximately where you draw the line is exactly where you'll make the cut. And it's always to take a little bit less. That way you can gauge it and match it up, see if you need to take a little bit more. You can't put back material, but you can always take away more. Let's go ahead and do that now. Now we've got our line drawn. We just want to verify the height. So here we have, from the actual mark on the metal, it's under 6. It's about just over 5 3/4. And then we should measure our patch panel. Just over 5 3/4. So we'll make our cut there, and whatever we have to take off or modify to fit, we can take out of this piece, or if it's just a tad bit, take it out of the actual piece itself. Alright, so let's make a cut. Alright, now once you've got that cut made, it's going to be a matter of working the skin off the panel. And I'll do that with a series of small screwdrivers. And every once in a while you'll encounter some very small rivets that hold the thing on. You see where the two parts where it pinched into the metal? Some two very tiny rivets. And you can pop them just by working your way around them, or if they become too troublesome, just kind of ground off the head. There you go, and just like that, this side's free. This side's got the same thing. I already popped one right there. But there's a big metal rivet that goes into the side of the cowl. That's going to have to be drilled out. We'll see if that panel will come right off. And there you go. We've got the sub bracing visible now. There's still quite a lot of pitting there, but with grinding and some rust preventer, that shouldn't be an issue at all. So let me clean it up and then we'll move on from there. Alright, so I've got my patch panel how I want it. It's primered front and back, weldable. I've got a bunch of holes drilled here to tack weld it to the existing under frame along the bottom as well. And right now I'm just going to get it all mocked up and clamped in final position, and I'll start welding. Alright, so overall I'm happy with the positioning of this. There's going to be some work when it comes to getting these rolls to match up, but I want to make sure the sheet metal is even, and this first roll has very little play in it. And then everything else I can sort out by bending and working and rolling it. So I'm using 0.025 gauge milled steel wire, and a mix of 75% argon and was it 25% carbon, whatever the last bit is. So let me get that all set up and we'll start tacking. Additionally, on the back side, I've ground a V channel into both sides of the metal. So this is at 45 degrees slanting away, and the left side's at 45 degrees slanting away as well. That creates a channel for the weld. That way you get good penetration holding the two pieces together, and your weld build-up on the back side is minimal because most of it's in the valley that you've created. Alright, something else to talk about is you need to know what gauge your steel is when you're welding. They sell these on Amazon, all sorts of places like that, but it fits over the steel. In this case it's 20 gauge steel, so 20 gauge metal fits into the 20 gauge slot. That helps you dial in your welder, at least have a place to start from knowing the thickness of your metal, and that's about the thickest that this whole panel is. So right now I'm going over with my finger and making sure I can't feel any visible steps in the metal. It's going to cause more problems later on. And we'll start from welding inside of the out. And when you have a panel like this that's such thin metal, heat is your number one concern. So to lessen the chances of warpage, you want to be careful about spreading the heat. So you want to work your tacks further and further apart. So 4 to 6 inches is very safe. Some people do, every 3 inches. But it's all about short tacks and controlling the amount of heat that you're spreading. Alright, we are back. Pardon the darkness, the best welding is done in a draft-free dark garage. But I've removed 2 of the braces, giving me more room to get in between the metal while it's still braced tightly together. So I'll probably tack here, here, and here, and then remove those last braces. That should give me good coverage. Now what you can do on the outside, because you're welding on the inside, you're trying to get the outside as minimal as possible. So I don't know if you can see in the darkness. The answer is no. What I'm trying to show you is that the welds are very minimal from the outside. But if you do have a bit of a gap, what I'm going to use is it's a copper paddle. And what that copper paddle does is creates a surface behind the gap that the weld's not going to sink into. It's not going to blow out the backside. It's going to create a nice pool on top of that metal that the milled steel cannot stick to. And that'll give us a much better weld. So let me get a lot of this done. I'll come back and show you what I've got. And that's pretty much it, YouTube. I'm going to stop here for the day, but you get the idea of it. You can see a little bit of daylight left there in the patch. Not a lot of warping, hardly any. Most of those marks are from just grinding down the outside tack flush. So it's going to take a little bit of hammer and dolly work to get that perfect. And on the inside, you just have an excess of welds built up. And that's it. Again, I was running 0.025 MIG wire with a shielding gas. Take your time, don't overheat the panel. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them. If you like what I'm doing here, subscribe to my channel and hit the like button. This is Loud Ladders, and have a great day.